Hi, Juliet.
Hey, Sammy.
Hi. So we had a handful of listens, two handfuls actually, verging on three of listens to episode one, on
Incredible.
autonomy, which is very cool. And so we're embarking on episode two. Um, and the thought I'd had for this one was around the word resilience. I have really enjoyed a few times where we've been in conversations with clients or prospects or just generally where that word has come up and you and I have very different reactions to it. I really
Yes.
like the word resilience, and I can see you having like an allergic reaction to it
Yeah. Yeah.
at the same time, and clients seem to be in that same space.
Yes.
Um, and at the same time, it seems to be something that is being demanded in the workplace right
Mm.
now, um, rather than rather than let's talk about some of the things that we might have to be resilient about or toward or whatever. We're just
Mm.
asking for more of it. So I thought it might be interesting coming to a conversation where we feel differently about a word that feels very present in our work.
Yeah. What does
Um,
it mean to us? And like, yeah, what
yeah.
does that kind of evoke? Because it's a bit like a word like professional or
Yes.
communication. It could mean so many different things, but everyone's just throwing it around.
Yeah.
So yeah, brilliant. Well, I'm going to throw you in first then. So what does it mean to you?
um, so I'm really tempted to start with like what it doesn't mean to me, but that might be um, ruining your argument. Um, I think what I don't like about the word resilience is that throwing aroundness that you've just said, and I don't like it when it is demanded of people. What I do like about it at its core, and I do like words. I like understanding where words come from. And resilience comes from words around bounce back and leap back. And that is what it means to me. It feels like, well, the analogy that I often use is the way that we build bridges. We build bridges to bend in the wind and to go up and down with the weight of the car. The Golden Gate Bridge goes up and down by about 17 foot, depending on the weight of the cars,
Wow.
which to me says built with resilience in mind. It says things are going to make us move and sway and work harder or work less hard. And so, how do we prepare ourselves for the changing context around us? So for me, it's around being well resourced,
Mm.
and noticing how we need to be at our best.
Mm.
So I really
Mm.
like it in that way. And I think the bridge analogy really works for me. I really like that. Like, I think it swings about 15 foot, the Golden Gate Bridge, in the wind because of the winds that you get on that side of the country.
Can you
Um,
imagine? It makes me feel sick.
yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. But I think it's great because if we were to build bridges to be robust and stable and sturdy, they would break. So resilience to me says built with that kind of wind in mind, which is why I get excited about it. Um, But what's your, let's go back to the allergic reaction. What happens to you when people talk of resilience?
Well, I'll give you something like to start with. I think I do hear what you're saying. There's like a flexibility in movement and an
Mm,
acknowledgement that we're not just static. We need to adapt to the ups and downs of life
mm,
and how that's really important. Um, so there's a couple of things that really get me. Um, First of all, the idea of resilience, I think, as it's typically described, is bouncing back. Um, so that means if you're knocked over, a bit like a weeble, you're probably too young to remember
no,
weebles, but they used
yeah,
to be these. You do
yeah,
in the bath. You'd wobble them over and they spring back up.
yeah,
Now, um, my problem with that is it's very focused on the individual. So the risk is in organizations which have become very individualistic, in an individualistic culture, all of the onus is on the individual. Like you have a
mm,
really, really busy period, a busy year, a busy whatever. Um, you must come back to where you
yes,
are, rather than questioning what's happening in the system in the organization that is meaning that Weeble wobbled down and needs to come back up. So
mm,
I rail a little bit about the overemphasis on resilience meaning well-being programs, because there's a
Yes.
risk if we don't question the design of the roles and the mindset of how the organization is treating its people and whether they're resourced enough, whether they're overworked, dare I say, exploited, it lets the organization off the hook.
Yeah,
Um,
completely.
and that worries
Completely.
me, because certainly with a lot of our clients at the moment, the busyness pandemic, if you like, feels like it's intensifying, with greater
Yeah.
pressure to
Yeah,
bounce
I really
back.
hear that. And I see that in, as you say, some of our clients, and certainly past clients, or just organizations that we're in conversation with often, is it feels like too big a job to look at the reasons we need to be resilient.
Yeah.
And so actually let's just try and last a bit longer.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and Yeah, I remember working with an organization where they talked about uh, almost like people could only do this job for a few years, and then we've worn them out, and then we need new ones.
Yeah.
And it was really, really sad because it was quite acknowledged and kind of accepted, rather than being like, well, that's strange. Like, what is it that's going on here that means
Yes.
that we're wearing people out? And it feels like a real missed opportunity as well, because we're not, obviously we're losing people, and we lose all of that institutional knowledge when they leave, or when they're worn out, or worse still, they don't leave because they're so worn out they haven't got the energy to leave. So they stay.
Yeah.
Um, and we're
Depleted.
not getting depleted, exactly, and
Yeah.
disengaged, and then we're
Yeah.
just not getting the benefit of what they're capable of,
Yeah.
when if they were joyful. So I totally get your reaction to it as well. Maybe we need to create a new word.
Well, there is another one. Um,
Go on then.
Nassim Taleb wrote the book Anti-Fragile. So that looks
Yes.
at, in nature, in biological systems, what happens when things are knocked back. So the knocking back, if you take your immune system, means you don't come back to where you before. You come back stronger.
Mm,
So what that implies is there's some learning, but for me, the current perspective on resilience is just coming back. You're knocked and you just got to get yourself back.
yeah.
But there's no recognition of learning through a challenge, or some discomfort.
Yeah.
And surely the art is in coming back stronger so that we may be knocked less in the future, maybe something like that.
Mm, yeah. Yeah,
Um,
completely. You can see
so
the frustration in some of our clients' faces, actually, in coaching sessions, when someone's having a really hard time.
yeah,
And I know you and I will both often ask them, what is this an opportunity for? What might
yeah,
we learn from what's going on right now? And it's a great question to be focusing on, like, how can we, what do they say, don't waste a good crisis, or
yeah.
good,
Good
whatever the
suffering.
Churchill thing was. Yeah, I don't hate the yeah, don't waste the suffering, because there's always learning to be done in that. And of course, when you're in the eye of the storm, that can be really hard, to acknowledge that this might be a moment to learn from. So
Yeah,
how can we get ahead of that and actually prepare people before the shit hits the fan,
yeah.
that when it does, let's be ready to learn from it?
But again, we've gone very individual. So, what's the
Yes, no, yeah.
systemic learning that needs to happen? And we're at 9 minutes.
I know, and I just realised I totally forgot to set the timer. So there's a learning within the crisis.
Yeah.
Well, go on, finish that
Oh.
thought, Juliet,
Oh, well, I
if you can
mean,
remember what you were
oh,
saying.
can't remember now. The So we've gone individual again, and another
Mm,
bring in another, um, analogy from the natural world, and because we are living ecosystems as human beings and
yeah.
organizations. So if you take a forest, the things that make them resilient are different to the things we're focusing on in organizational resilience.
Mm,
So things that make a forest resilient are diversity and interconnectivity, which means relationship. So
mm,
there's a whole other way to go about resilience in organizations. It's not just focusing on an individual doing more yoga or meditation.
yeah.
It's about, do we have enough diversity, in all its forms, and how deeply in relationship and connected are we throughout this team or department or organization. So I'll leave it at that. That's my
Well, no, I
final.
love it. I think we've weaved through our roots in this conversation to a point where I think we're both in agreement around the word may not always be useful and misconstrued. Some of the roots of it are useful, but as you say, it's increasingly individual. And actually, I love anti-fragile, which always makes me feel like those old rulers, the shatterproof rulers that you used to get for school. Um, but I love anti-fragile and that forest nature of making an organization anti-fragile.
Yeah, and just thinking of resilience as a collective rather than purely as an
Mm,
individual responsibility. I think that's the key thing for me. Awesome.
nice.
11 minutes.
Thank you. Yeah, we need to get better at this. See you later.
Thanks, Sammy. Bye.
Bye.